This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. They're picking up good vibrations.
Hello, kiddies. We are going to have a good time together. Because do you know what season it is?
Cuffing season?
Well, yes, but it's also, it's not election season. It's also, and I just had it up in front of me and I forgot. It's heartbreak season.
Well, one leads to the other, right?
Exactly, true.
Both lead to the other, actually.
Good point.
Both can lead to heartbreak.
We are talking with HAPPIE Hoffman, who has her debut EP. I was going to say cuffing season, heartbreak season. Cuffing season is the follow-up.
Now I've done it.
Yes. It's out Friday. She's played everywhere. She's been at Austin City Limits. She's done a lot of cool things. And
she's cooler than we are.
Yes. And I think she's deeper than we are, because when we talked to her, all I wanted to talk about was what Bob Dylan's Make You Feel My Love is about.
Well,
and she was not buying what I was selling.
No, she definitely was not.
But whether it is election, cuffing, heartbreak, decorative gourd season,
which also can lead to heartbreak.
It's true. It's very, very true. We need to talk about, I think, the best musical I've seen this year.
Oh.
The best biopic I've seen this year. Okay. And I am including Elvis in this.
Okay.
Weird. The Weird Al film.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm planning on watching it tonight. Don't ruin it for me.
It is as good as everyone says.
That's what I'm anticipating.
It's a lot of fun.
He did a takeover, because even though, flashback to our serious radio discussion,
right.
Since I've got it, I'm listening to it.
I was going to say SERIOUS or S. Okay. Now I understand. Yes.
And on Saturday, Weird Al did a takeover on 80s on 8, which was awesome.
Right.
And about the movie, but he played a lot of his stuff. But then he dug out Tips for Teens.
There you go.
And Jamie was in the car, so I got to give her a little Sparks lesson.
That's perfect.
I know, it made me so happy.
Well, there is I think it's on YouTube, footage of him that Edgar Wright got during their interview of him playing This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us on the accordion. So there's...
I'm showing you my new t-shirt.
I know.
Oh, it's so good.
You're just dragging it out now.
It wasn't on purpose.
It just feels like it.
I thought I was very brave wearing a music tee to the office.
That's true. I've with this pinched nerve thing, I've been going to the chiropractor, different than the last one, and I keep wearing band t-shirts to see if I can get somebody to be like, okay, cool.
Right. I do that too. It's like a test for people.
Nobody reacted to my Exorcist / Robert Smith shirt.
See, that's very disappointing.
However, at the Blondie / Damned show, when I ran into Brian Henneman's nephew, yes, I believe, who saw my Everybody Sing Together shirt with Jeff Tweedy on it, that one when I wore it, one of the assistants was like, what does your shirt say? Oh, and she was just like, yeah, people should, especially during the election season. I'm like, well, I don't know if different songs.
Yeah.
Linda, I think different songs.
Different songs, for sure.
She's got that red hot fever. She'll make you lose your mind. Takes a lot to please her. She'll leave him staring from behind.
I'm glad I didn't wear that.
I was hoping you weren't
Those
gonna
feathers. Yeah,
it's super cute, and the fun basket chair, like that's awesome.
Yeah, this is what you would
We're
expect.
talking about heartbreak season, so I figured.
Right before you came on, I was thinking heartbreak. Isn't that fall for everybody, or is that just me?
Yeah, it's fall.
It might be. It might be fall. I like to think of heartbreak season as anytime you're not in the relationship. It's probably heartbreak season. You're either going to be breaking hearts or have your heart broken a little bit.
We're usually in the breaking hearts category
Always, of
ourselves,
course.
but
That's why we weren't sure when the season was.
Really, anytime, but fall is ripe for it.
Yeah, right?
and just the melancholy of it all, it's sort of perfect. So how did you come to put this record together and write it? I'm assuming there's some personal experience here,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I don't see it as unfortunate, but yeah, this album was created and tells sort of a story of what this time in my life looks like, of what these past couple of years have looked like. And I wrote this album last winter, just in the dead of winter. And it was really, these are the most, vulnerable, honest songs I've written. And they did come from lived experiences.
Was it scary to allow yourself to be that vulnerable, or were you just like, oh, I'm going for it?
Well, so I wrote with a good friend of mine named Ori Rakib, or Iro Music, and he really pushed me. I think I would have, it was scary in that way. There were moments where I was like, I don't know if I can say that. And he was like, that's the thing that you have to say.
Yeah.
So, and it felt really, really good to express this moment in my life and this part of my life, which is exciting and dating and full of ups and full of downs and yeah.
How long did it take you to write everything? Was that a short span of time, or was it something that was...
We wrote this EP in a month.
So pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, I'd written other songs, but when we sat down to do this project, we wanted to do something in this time, in this moment, with this sound and this team. So yeah, pretty quick turnaround.
Was it hard kind of staying in that vein for you? Obviously difficult saying these things and remembering it all, but to have to kind of really stay there and dig through that pain, was that obviously not the greatest of experiences? Or maybe it was.
So much fun, actually. It was cathartic. It felt real. The team I'm so close with, so it felt amazing, to be honest. And like I said, this heartbreak season, it kind of sounds sad, but it's really not. It's kind of sassy and like exciting. It's not all sad at all.
Well,
So
that's good.
it was a fun process and a real process, like truly a process of, throwing things out there and deciding which songs we wanted to chase, what felt good, what felt real, what felt authentic, and really leaning in when emotions did come up around the music.
So now that you're dating, how often have you been on a first date, told them what you do, and had them think you were completely lying?
As far as music?
Well, yeah, because I feel like if you go on a date and they're like, well, I'm a singer-songwriter, I'm a recording artist, no one's going to believe that. They're going to be like, sure you are.
No,
or is everyone just like, oh, I got to pull your stuff up right now and listen to it?
More of that. Either they've already done their homework.
Yeah.
Or they've like heard me sing somewhere and that's where we met.
That makes sense.
So most people, I think, sort of know who they're sitting down.
Okay, that's good.
Well, one
but
thing
I do understand it's unconventional.
Right.
certainly. I mean, one thing I feel like I keep quoting to people when we interview them is the Margaret Atwood quote that the only person as an artist that you need to apologize to is your children, because they did not ask for all of this. Um, I feel like no pressure on the next, partner you have in your life, but they saw what happened to the last one. I mean, I guess is it like, okay, we got to make sure we give her an EP, an LP if this is going to go south.
No, I think the people I've dated recently are kind of excited about having songs written about them.
Okay, well
That's
that's either
good.
good or bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Because if it
Yeah,
goes well, maybe that's what it is. If it goes well, the longer the, double album, I'm thinking,
Right, that's true.
totally.
like Live at
And
Budokan.
Yes.
exactly. Um, yeah, and I mean, actually, my long term, 3 years ago, I was in a 6 year relationship with an amazing artist and songwriter named Eric, and we had a band called Eric and Happy.
Where'd you get the
And
name?
yeah, really, really complex. And in a few months, he's also coming out with an album called Beautiful Endings. So it's really, and we're close, we're on great terms, but it's beautiful to have your art represent moments in your life. That's the way I see it as an artist.
Hmm.
So,
Well, it's the most authentic, obviously, and it's the most relatable, but it is, like you said, the most vulnerable and bare. And knowing someone you love and care about is sharing your story as well from their perspective.
totally.
Kind of crazy too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really beautiful. And I've heard the songs and they break my heart, but they're stunning, and they represent a moment in time and a chapter. And that's how I see these songs. They represent a moment. And even if my life is different and not, life changes from minute to minute, but the songs represent a time or a feeling that, and it captures that.
I mean, some folks have heard it, friends have heard it. Has everyone responded positively, or are they no longer your friend?
People have heard it, the sneak preview, and there's been a really nice response. The sound is different than anything I've ever created before, and I'm excited about it, and people seem to be excited about it too. Before this album, my sound was more indie folk singer songwriter, and this leans more indie pop and something you can move to.
Well, that's another scary thing in changing your sound like that. How did you and Ori connect? How did you start working together? Because obviously you're probably moving in a little bit different musical circles.
Yeah, Ori and I met at a friend's farm at a gathering, and we were sort of immediately, as two of the musicians in the room, people were like, "Oh, sing a song together." We're like, "Okay." So in a room full of, maybe 100 or so people, we were on stage singing together, and we were like, "Oh, you're cool." Okay. Like, and from there our friendship blossomed. He was really supportive of my sound, and we just started writing together a little for fun, and then we said, hey, let's do this project. Let's like sit down and really make something. And he was simultaneously also making an album too, so it was really just a moment of immense creativity just pouring out of both of us.
Is that something that, are you working on anything else like now? Is that something you're still sort of feeling, or are you sort of feeling like because of that level of how creative and immense it was, that you're like, you know what, we're just gonna like just enjoy this ride for a little bit and chill out?
I mean, every artist is different. I'm writing every day as a practice, and I feel very creatively inspired right now, and just like it's an important part of my daily practice is to be expressing and to be, creativity. I see creativity as a muscle, I think a lot of people see it that way, and it's something we need to grow and continue to cultivate, keep the portal open. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm feeling both, okay, I've made this thing, and also what's happening for me now as well.
And you talk about kind of trying to make a record that you can move to, and something that's a little bit different than the kind of acoustic folk you were playing previously. Is this a sandbox you want to keep playing in? Do you want to go back to sort of what you know prior?
It is a sandbox I want to keep playing in. I love it. I will say I write on my guitar and piano, so it doesn't always start with the sound when you're not sitting in the room with a producer. My stuff still is starting to, when it comes out of me and my guitar, it kind of can start out feeling a little bit indie folk, and that's, you know, it's helpful to have other minds and other creatives to say, okay, well, what if we do this with the chorus, or what if the bass line goes here and this is where the drop is? And I love that process of being in the room with other writers, and that's sort of how the writing process has come. You know, I think with this stuff I'm working on moving forward, it's me coming with these ideas and then workshopping them with other people.
Well, don't they always say that sort of like any good song can be stripped down to a voice and a guitar or a voice and a piano? And if you can't do that, then
what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's interesting that you start that way and then work up from there and go, well, how can we kind of expand this and go different places? Was this something you always wanted to do, or was it just this sort of, I guess you can say, chance encounter, chance meeting of Ori that made you think, well, let me see what this is like?
No, this is something that I'd been wanting to do for a long time. Being a solo project, I'd wanted to make a solo project for a long time. And yeah, and it was just the right time. I feel like I've been working up to this moment for a very long time. I've had bands in the past. I've helped put together other bands and performed in many different realms. And really the timing felt like this is when you're meant to be taking these steps forward. And really when I decided that I was ready to take this step, all of the players showed up, all of the other minds, the other creatives, the other people that knew which step to take next. All of those people started to show up in my life once I made the decision to go for it. And yeah, and to what you were saying, I completely agree about a song being able to be stripped down. So, you know, I am playing with a band for the upcoming shows and for the festival I'm playing at in a couple weeks, Austin City Limits. I have my band backing me, but for smaller events and shows, it's just me and my guitar, and I'm playing the same songs, which is really fun. It's fun to hear them in a different way too.
It's got to be great, and for audiences too.
Yeah.
To hear that kind of gem of a song, or you know, the seed of a song, and all the different paths you can go down.
Totally, I hope so.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the audience.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting too how different a song really can be in that different setting. It can sound like something completely like it came out of left field. Something so familiar can be completely different.
Totally. You know, and I've played this single I just released, All I Needed. I've performed it and played it in so many different ways with different people now at this point. I've played it on a stage in front of a couple thousand people with the dance track behind me with the producer that did the summertime mix. I've played it, you know, on rooftops with a piano player that learned it 30 minutes before, which was like, oh, this is awesome. I've played it with a guitarist who also said, let me jam with this on you when you play it. And it's so fun to collaborate with other musicians because they, you know, they add their own flavor to it. And it really is a joy to have played it so far. All I needed.
Does that because obviously writing an incredibly personal, almost confessional song is one thing. Recording that is another thing, kind of getting that out and sharing that with people. But then going out on stage and sort of not necessarily reliving it all, but sharing it in a very direct way with people. Is that daunting, or have you reached a level of personal satisfaction where you're just like, I know this is good. I stand behind it and bring on the dance track or the piano or whatever, and we can make this thing work.
Yeah, I really feel comfortable with the composition and I stand behind it. And, you know, performing original music feels vulnerable. Performing covers feels vulnerable because I'm, you know, when I'm performing, I'm just there. And it is emotional, even if it's not my song, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I'm almost, there have been some reactions from people of like, wow, that song was so vulnerable. I'm like, maybe it was vulnerable. Like at this point, I'm performing it, but I'm not feeling scared before every time I perform it. I'm not feeling the pain or the heartache every time I sing it.
Mm-hmm. What covers are you doing?
What covers am I doing?
Well, because you say it's emotional, and I'm thinking like, you know, my karaoke song is Islands in the Stream, and I don't know.
Some of my favorite covers. Let's see. My favorite song is Somewhere Over the Rainbow, so I do that cover
Okay.
so often. I Make You Feel My Love by Bob Dylan. That's one of my favorites. And I've performed that at a lot of, you know, wedding ceremonies too for friends.
What do you think that song is about?
So
Is it a stalking song? This is my theory. Is that like playing Every Breath You Take at a wedding?
I don't think it's a stalking song, but I
Okay.
full permission to feel what you feel about the song.
Well, it's just
That way.
I think it's Dylan's intonation of the line "You ain't seen nothing like me yet."
Mm.
And if he's chasing after you and he's going black and blue down the avenue, it just feels like, you know, there's nothing they wouldn't do. It just sounds like Bob's on a ladder outside your house.
Wow.
But
Well,
maybe I'm listening to his records wrong.
I'll probably hear it that way next time. Now that you planted that seed.
Well, because
Um,
there's so many weddings I've been to where they play music that you're just sitting there going like, what is this? And I've heard that one, and my wife is always elbowing me, being like, don't you say it, because, you know. But I literally have heard Someone Like You by Adele at weddings, and you just want to be like, is anyone listening to what the lyrics are for
Right.
this?
Right.
That's funny.
Or My Heart Will Go On.
Yeah.
Or I Will Always Love You.
Yeah.
It's not great at a wedding.
Although I did have a friend who wanted to walk down the aisle to I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For.
That's good.
But
I think that's a good one.
yeah,
I would
think it
do
work.
that.
Yeah. Sorry, but you were saying To Make You Feel My Love. You do a
I
cover
was
of
saying
that.
I don't see that song as a stalking song. I see that as somebody, you know, wanting to show their love and wanting to be effusive with it, and I'm super into that. I want somebody
Okay.
to show me that they love me, and you know,
Okay.
make me feel it. I want, you know, I think it's sweet, but
Okay.
I hear you.
Well, I respect your opinion, even though I think it's misguided.
And I yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you guys agree on that.
Well, I guess reading the liner notes, even the way you say that the EP, you know, it doesn't represent sadness, but bravery and empowerment. And you're really trying to sort of, I think, not rewrite the narrative, but sort of take control of a past situation and trying to own it and work it in a way that is most healthy for you and sort of sets you up for the next great experience? Would you say that?
Yeah, well, I really do see this, you know, breaking up is hard. Whether you're breaking
It's hard
up
to
with
do.
someone,
Yeah.
exactly, whether you're breaking up with someone or being broken up with, it's hard. And a lot of people don't do it because it's uncomfortable, it's scary, it's jumping into the unknown, especially if you're in something that isn't bad. It's hard to let go of something. So when I say it's about bravery, I mean it. I mean it's, from my personal experience, it's about really having the courage to step into the unknown, to do something that's so hard, which is hurting somebody that you love, and moving forward. So I see it, I do stand behind the fact that it does take courage, and it does take bravery to go and to be in heartbreak season, to be in heartbreak, and to face the feelings. So that's what I mean by that. It's really not even trying to make light of something that's devastating, but really just, when I was in the thick of heartbreak, one of the things that I would have to remind myself is, you're so brave. And that was helpful, and it still is.
And so you see this EP as a way to sort of share that feeling and pass that along to the next person?
Totally. To pass along that message, and also to remind myself and others that it's an exciting moment. It means it's a moment of uncertainty, but a moment that represents the fact that anything is possible, that, my life and love could go in any direction. And I do see it that way. Though uncertain, it's an exciting moment. It's a chapter, God willing, and and so yeah, that's how I see it.
That's wonderful.
Days when I fall, who do I call to let the pain on a bed of emotion?
Heartbreak Season, the debut EP from Happie Hoffman, is available next Friday, November 18th, wherever you get your music. For more information, check out her website, happiehoffman.com. That's HAPPIE. She is also on Instagram, where she is at happie.hoffman.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website at rockandrollgradschool.com, and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hedquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thank you, good night, and may all your favorite bands stay together.
All I needed was love and attention.